finally get to kind of catch up, here.
Yeah.
So this is
Well,
cool.
thanks for having me.
No, I saw you post on, there's my computer reminding me that you're calling me.
Yeah, I just did the same.
Yeah. I saw you post up on the Facebook channel on the John Maxwell thing. And then I saw that we have the same hairstylist. And
Absolutely.
You mentioned mountain biking in Bend, Oregon. And I was like, okay, never been to Bend, Oregon, but I'm going to Idaho. That's close enough. And man, I was like, I just got to hook up with this guy. I got to figure out what he's doing and see if it's something that sounds awesome. And, see if the 10 people that listen to me want to know about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I say, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah. I lived in Southern California before I moved here. And I was down east of San Diego,
okay.
On a town called Alpine. And and we moved up here, and we were looking for a place that there were four pieces of criteria. It had to be a place that we would want to raise our kids. Mm-hmm. It had to be less expensive than California, which that was a pretty broad. I mean, that about everything fit that. So we knew we weren't moving to New York or New Jersey or something, but a place where we had a little bit of family, at least, and a place where we could spend a lot of time outdoors. And it came down to Bend, Oregon. So that's what brought us here.
So I don't have any family in Idaho. And so Bend, Oregon could actually still be on the list because I'm not chasing family around. But our criteria is almost the same thing. It is, I've been in Southern California for 3 years now, and we were in Northern California before that. Northern California was a little different. We lived up in the woods. We were by the redwood forest. We were close to the beach. And it was like an attainable kind of thing, but you still had to make a lot of money to live there. Like to be able to live there, you got to bring in the dollars. And then I got the offer to come down south with Suzuki. And, Suzuki's going great. Everything's awesome there because I got a lot of people in power sports that listen to this and they're like, are you leaving? And I'm like, no, I didn't set a date. No, it's life dreaming. Right. But, it's just bizarre, man. If I take the car, it takes an hour and a half to go 24 miles. I can bicycle faster than that. I can get to the office faster pedaling than I can driving. And then of course I can lane split with the motorcycle. But then every time I lane split, I'm taking my life in my hands trying to get to the office.
Right.
And you think to yourself, well, how does this make sense? Like, is this the, when you read those, purpose-driven life books and things like that, you're like, was this the purpose? Was I supposed to sit in this trap?
Yeah.
And, and the kids always want to go do something, but I never want to go do it because I never want to get on the highway and sit in the mess. So we haven't been to Disneyland. We don't go to the Walk of Fame. We don't tour the stars of the homes of the stars, any of that stuff. We just kind of hang out in Corona and go bicycling.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It is very different here. When people will say, boy, you work on the south end of town, but you live on the north end of town. Like, well, yeah, it's 6 minutes from one to the other. It's not a big deal. So, so it's it is growing. Bend is growing like crazy. Which to anyone in Southern California, this will sound like nothing, but it's just a hair below 100,000 right now in Bend. And 20 years ago, it was about 25,000. So it has quadrupled, in 25 years. So that is significant. But there's a lot of, if you love the outdoors, kayaking, fly fishing, snowboarding, mountain biking, climbing, all of it is within minutes. It's a great place. I love it. I would say the population is a little more than I want. I'd rather live out in the country and, see my neighbors on a weekly basis, driving by, but yeah, I mean, it is a really great place. A lot of great people. It's definitely a different vibe than you get in than when we lived in really anywhere in California that we lived. When I had this mountain biking accident a few weeks ago and broke my collarbone, and every single person on the trail that I came across stopped to offer their help. To make phone calls or, help me get back to the trailhead or whatever it was. And that was something you don't experience too often in other places where people are just very helpful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. One of the takeaways from our trip to Idaho, and it was a people-oriented thing, like what you just said, was and I'm not shy. Like, I'll jump out of the truck and go, "Hey, who are you? Where are you going? What's going on?" Like there was a group of mountain bikers, and I was like, "I just got done riding a ride, but where are you guys going? Because it looks like you're going somewhere cooler, And my wife's like, "People are going to think you're crazy," but they don't, because up there they're all just like, "Hey, welcome to the family. Come on in. We're going to go for a ride tomorrow. Jump on. Let's go."
Yeah.
And, it was really, really cool. And when we would talk to people up there, it was the opposite of here. So like here you'd say, "Man, it's a beautiful day outside." And in California, they'll go, "Yeah, it'd be a great day if it doesn't rain." And then up there, they're like, "It is a blessed day. This is wonderful, isn't it?" And you're like, okay, this is bizarre, because people are very, very positive and very open to, and people warned us. They said, they're not going to like you if you're from California. And when we got up there, people would look at the plates. A couple of people even said, "You got California plates." And I'm like, "Yeah, but we've only been there 3 years. It doesn't count." And they were like, "Okay, it's cool. You can stay." So it was fun. We had a really good time.
Yeah. Yes. Culturally, you find a lot of amazing people, and it's I would say Bend is a lot of fun because there's two very, very popular things here: outdoor sports and breweries. We have about 30 local breweries here. The biggest would be Deschutes Brewery. And it's funny. I grew up in Central California, and I grew up around, now hopefully this won't offend anyone, I grew up around a lot of Raider fans. And so I only knew Oakland Raiders style drinking. But here, I don't know anyone that gets drunk. I know, and everyone I know drinks. So, they just go enjoy a nice beer at a pub, and man, that was delicious. Yeah, I'm going to go home to my family. Have a great night. It's just a different culture, but all of that really contributes to community. Even Deschutes Brewery itself was founded because they wanted to make a good beer that people could come around and enjoy community together. Bring a 6-pack of a good beer to someone's house to hang out for the night, and it was all based around community. And the outdoor sports, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are or who the next guy is. If I've been on trails where it was kicking my butt, and I just got off and walked my bike for 100 yards or so, and had people stop and, "Hey, is everything okay? Do you have a flat tire? Like, what's "Oh, yeah, I'm good. I just needed a breather." And people just check on you and take care of each other, and it's really great. So
there's no shame in a little hike a bike.
Oh yeah,
no shame.
Well, I may be doing more of it later this season. So
all right, so
late in the game.
Before I get too far down the road and ask you about all your business stuff, I know I saw on your Facebook page your kids do BMX, my kids do BMX.
Yeah.
Mountain biking, I do mountain biking. Do you road bike?
So I have not road biked in a long time. And I'm very interested in getting back into it.
Wow.
When I was 13, I did my first century ride.
Nice.
And, and then just through the years, I just kind of got out of it. And, didn't really pursue it. But now I'm kind of getting back to, that it would be fun. And in Bend, it extends the season of riding. If you have a good mountain bike and you have a good road bike and you have a good fat tire bike, you can ride all year long.
All year. Well, 2 years ago, I was about 60 pounds heavier. And I had biked a bunch as a kid. So when I lost the weight, I just drug the bike back out, tuned it up, got it going. And then the guys at work were doing mountain biking. I went with them a little bit, had a hardtail, went biking with them. Then I got the cyclocross bike, and that's when I knew I was really getting the bug. Like, I knew something was wrong when I'm spending money like this.
Yeah.
And the guys all said, you need a dual suspension bike. You got to get a dual suspension bike. So I got the giant Advanced Rain, and I've been riding that thing. And man, I'm out all the time. And then this month is if you see my thing, my post, this month is the Great Cycle Challenge. So I got to do 600 miles this month. So it's mostly road biking. So this morning I did a road bike ride with Team Velocity, and it was really, really good. It was one of the best rides of the year for me. But it was about 33 miles. And knock that out. And then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm doing what we call the Santa Ana River Trail, and it's real flat, real easy, and I can go from Corona down to the beach and back, and that's like 65 miles. So I can do that a couple of times, and then that'll put me on par to get that mileage mark at the end of the month. If I front load the month with some good rides, then I don't worry about being in a panic at the end.
Right.
So that's kind of the goal, and I'm into that. So huge fan with the bicycling, and I was really glad to see that you were doing it. Now, how long have the kids been doing the BMX?
So they started late in the season last year.
Same as my boy.
We don't obviously we can't ride year round here. So when it's starting to snow during a race, then they kind of shut it down. Yeah. So they probably got, I would say, maybe 6 races in last year, and then we just started up. I think we're maybe 3 or 4 weeks in right now this year. So 3 of our 4 are racing, and they love it. And it's a great, again, the people, the culture. A lot of everyone's encouraging everyone else's kids, and no matter what place they're in, you're cheering them on as they go by, and so it's a lot of fun. We really enjoy it. So it's been fun to have, when you have 4 kids, to have them all doing one sport, that all practices at the same time and races at the same time. That's pretty helpful. So
yeah, it makes it easy to check that box, man. You're like, kids exercise, one event, done.
Right.
So cool. Hayden's been at it. He started about mid-year last year, and same thing. He just, he's having a good time. The families we met have been really, really good. And it's just been a really cool deal. And he's he wants to do more and more mountain biking with Dad. And, he's not at Dad's level yet. So half the time I'm like, I need a workout. Like, I have to go get my workout. But then I'll take him and we'll do a slower, easier ride together. And he just loves getting on the mountain with the mountain bike. We've got a Specialized here that he can ride. And we've met the middle school and high school mountain bike teams here in the area. And we also, just by chance, met the high school mountain bike team in Garden Valley, Idaho, when we were visiting. So it was really cool to see that there's kind of a plug and play atmosphere. Like, my boy's already excited. He's like, I can move here tomorrow, Dad. This place is awesome. And I've got a 14-year-old daughter. She's a little less anxious for it, but she was still pretty game, which surprised me because I thought she'd be the one to give me the heartache over it. But she took it pretty well. She liked the trip. So
that's great.
So let's jump into some business stuff, man. Talk to me about your journey with the John Maxwell thing, because that's something we have in common. So I just want to see how many of the check boxes you and I kind of identify on. And then I'd really like to know how you apply that with what you do for a living, because you're in the training space.
Right. Yeah. So someone just asked me the other day how I got involved with John Maxwell team. the first book I ever read on leadership was 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Someone gave it to me. I read it, and I was blown away at the time. I had never read anything like that. I wasn't a strong leader. I wanted to be, but as I read it, I just thought, I mean, this is powerful stuff. No one's writing this, and it's easy to understand.
Yeah.
And so I started following John Maxwell at that point, and just reading his things as they came out. But at the time, I was pastoring in Central California, and as a young growing leader needing growth, I started applying principles from 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. And I thought, I don't even know what I'm doing as a leader. I'm a train wreck. I'm just going to start doing what he says, applying these principles here that are in the book. And in doing that, we experienced phenomenal growth. It was unbelievable. I'll tell you this, it made me look like I was a much better leader than I was. Simply by applying these. And then as momentum builds, then it's scary. You look way better than you are.
It starts chunking along
when that momentum is going. And so fast forward years down the road, I'm pastoring, but I'm at a point where I really wanted to have a bigger impact than I was having serving in the local church. So I'd been praying about what I was going to do, what direction that was going to take. Yeah. And of all things, a John Maxwell team Facebook ad pops up. And I look at it, I said, okay, and it was for speaker training. And at the time, I was traveling the country speaking quite a bit. And I thought, man, this would be great to get some really high level training and, be able to have John Maxwell's name associated with that.
Yeah.
So I jumped in, I joined John Maxwell team and started going through the speaker training. I started going through the coaching training. And as I was going through the coaching training, I looked at my wife one night. I said, this is what I was made to do right here. This is it. And so began to pursue coaching and speaking. And that was really how that started in applying it, in what I do now. It's a lot of the speaking principles, the speaking and the coaching, those are the big things. When I'm speaking at a conference or doing training with a company, I'm digging in, and sometimes I'm going back and, okay, what did the trainer say about this? Okay, yeah. Oh, that's good advice. All right, I'm going to tweak this. I'm going to do this. And so those have been, the training is absolutely beyond, far beyond the value of what they charge you for.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of how I got connected there. So
nice. I wanted to do it way back in like 2011, and life just wasn't in the right order. Everything was kind of messed up. Everything was messy. And, some people say, hey, jump off the cliff, build your wings on the way down. Right. But I was not ready to jump off the cliff. I had a family and young kids to take care of. So I took the job at Ducati, and I became the national training manager at Ducati, did that for years. And then at the end of the Ducati run, I looked at my wife and I was like, in 2011, we were not in a position for me to do this that I really wanted to do. And now in 2016, I'm leaving Ducati. Like, we know I'm going to quit and I'm going to leave. So now we're in a position, like, I can do this with a clean conscience and I don't put the family at risk or anything. Right. And she said, that's a lot of money. And I was like, and she's like, you're already a speaker. Like, I think that's the part that people get lost on. Like when you are a leader or when you're a speaker, you're always looking for inspiration or an affiliation or something with someone better than you. Like when I used to race motorcycles, I didn't want to go do track days with slow people so I could look good. I wanted to do track days with fast people so I could learn from them and get faster and faster. And so I tried to explain to my wife, like, I need to go with these people. Like, these are the best of the best. The people that run major companies are going to be there. I need to go and meet these folks just to see how they operate, what they do, how they interact, like how do they respect each other. And she said, that's a lot of money and you're already paid. Like, you've been to France, you've been to Spain, you've been to Italy, like you're doing really well. But I went, I paid, the $5,000, got the signatures, got all the certificates, met all the people, and I have not a single regret. People that I run into at the airports or like yourself, there just seems to be this common bond between people that are willing to pour into themselves or willing to take that moment to go, I'm not all that in a bag of chips. I really could learn something from somebody else. And I find that really, really refreshing, because in the business world, you interact with a lot of people that are like, my name's on the building, I run this, and I got, I know what I'm doing. And then you go in and you're like, your people are fleeing from you. Like, you're not doing this right. Like you might have your name on the building and you might have a lot of money in the bank, but you're not doing that. Can I help you with relationship? And then you start working with them, and it's unbelievable what the results can be. So absolutely. I really enjoy that part.
Yeah, that's great. That's one of the things I love about coaching is, if I would say, if you're charging very little, you're probably not experiencing this, but when you're charging at a higher level, you're engaging with clients that are coming to you because they want to grow.
Yeah.
And they need someone that can, give them wisdom and insights and walk them through, here's some blind spots, that are going on. And not only, do you have this blind spot at work, but, look at how you've categorized your romance with your wife over here. I mean, it looks like you're probably doing better at work than you are at home. I mean, that's a big gap. Let's work on that. And so, to work with people that want to grow, that's a wonderful world. I have no desire to work with people that, they want your help, but they don't want to grow. I have no interest. So.
Have you listened to the previous podcast? Do you know that's how the Manana No Mas name was born?
No, I apologize. Because of my accident a few weeks ago, I have been in a fog, and
it's all good.
I haven't read. I read all the time. I haven't read in the last month. I've just been like, I can't even retain anything. So, but I was very curious about how that came about.
Yeah, how the whitest guy in America has a name like Manana No Mas. We used to live in New Mexico, and we used to help a lot of startup companies get launched. And just as you had described, when you work with people that don't have a huge financial investment made, you are working at the bottom of that barrel, and we would have these meetings. And I did this with it was the South Valley Economic Development Center. So the SVEDC, basically, I don't want to say they had me on contract, but I was their preferred guy to work with all these companies. And so they'd bring all these people in, and we'd be like, okay, what's your product? What do you make? How many employees? What's your goal for the year? How do you see your growth happening? And we'd build them a plan. And then I took over website, social media, marketing plans, colors, logos, and I would subcontract a lot of that out because I am not a graphic person. I'm a words person. But anyway, we'd get all this stuff and we'd have meetings. So you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. And at the next meeting, I'd be like, here's my stuff. What'd you get done? They're like, I made a phone call, but they didn't call me back. And it would just go like around the table. And I lost control one day in front of the director. And I said, this is ridiculous. People aren't vested in their own success. And how can I be responsible for their success if they're not responsible for their own success? This doesn't make sense. We are spinning our wheels and getting nothing out of these people. Manana No Mas, man, there's no tomorrow. You got to get moving. You got to get your shit done today.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's a good name for a company. And I went, done. And that was it. So from that day forward, we became Manana No Mas. And I used to be Von Annen Designs and PR. And that was how we did everything in New Mexico. And it was really weird because the VADPR thing actually had like a following. People, it was starting to grow and it was starting to get a client base. And I said, no, that's it. Manana No Mas, we're done. No more deposits, no more payment plans, no more nonsense. You show up, you write the check. If you do not provide your deliverables on time, you're out of the program, and we make room for someone that wants to work for their own success. And when I laid down the ground rules, everybody loved it. Everyone said that's suicide. You're going to shut your own company down. And instead, we almost quadrupled our business that year. So I was really, really excited. And then that's when Ducati made a job offer for me, and I took that, and we took security over risk and finance. But it was a fun run while it lasted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. You know, we've had clients that we've occasionally, not too often, but occasionally that we have fired, I guess.
Yeah.
As a client, and that doesn't happen too often. There are times where we graduate them, you know, at the end of their contract. We want them to move forward. We don't want them to become dependent on this coaching relationship. We want them to grow, and if we see that that's come to a point where they really need something else to move forward, then we're glad to let them go. There are plenty of great clients out there. So,
and there's a lot of need. So, you know, the thing I find interesting, I've had some people ask me, you know, especially outside of the training and coaching world, they'll say, you're interviewing these people, but they're your competition. And I'm like, trust me, the dude in Bend, Oregon is not my competition. Like, I want him to succeed more than you could possibly know. And I'm sure he's not worried about me stealing his clients on a podcast, you know. And it's funny what people's perceptions, you know. It's like, no, I just want I want this to rock. It's got to be awesome, and the need's tremendous. So there's plenty of work to go around. So,
right. Oh yeah, absolutely. So,
tell us about Coach Well.
Yeah. So Coach Well. Coach Wells, boy, it actually started here in Bend, Oregon, in a closet in a townhouse, and then grew very quickly. And I believe we're in the third office space. We have a beautiful office space just above an area called the Old Mill District, and we're 100 yards from the Deschutes River. And it's a beautiful space, but we coach clients all over the country. We may have a couple international clients right now. I have to check on that, but everything from a coffee shop here. They have, I believe, 5 locations and growing, to major corporations and a lot of stuff in between. But what we are really trying to focus on is building culture within organizations. So, so typically, we want to go in, we work and coach directly with the owner or the executive level. We'll coach one-on-one with them, and probably take the managers and do team coaching with them. We would go in and say, we assess everyone in the entire company up front. So we get a gauge. Here's how each employee is engaged. Here's how they're disengaged. Here's the areas that they're struggling with. And that gives coaching content, so that as we are developing those leaders within the organization into coaching leaders, they have material right in front of them to coach their people on. Then we do on-sites. We work with them, the entire company on-site to launch things. And then we, continue to coach those leaders throughout the year. And then we reassess everyone quarterly, just to kind of take their pulse and see how everything's going. And then annually we do a larger assessment. But in doing that, we can take the engagement levels of a company to places they never even dreamed possible.
Yeah.
When they're in their own little microcosm, it's very difficult for them to look at their own flaws and take them seriously. We all think we're doing great in most areas, and it really takes some outside lenses to go, yeah, you are doing really great in a lot of areas. Here's some areas where we see some real issues, but let's work on them. And within that, we work on communication within an organization. Communication, as you know, is a major issue in companies, and a lot of that really just has to do with, we have different communication styles, and one person is going to be very blunt and direct, and they don't mean anything personal by it. Yeah, we'll talk about you in a minute. Very blunt and direct and to the point, and they may even be very willing to engage in conflict, and there's nothing personal in the conflict. It's just, hey, I'm taking an action, and that action is conflict, and I want to get a result, and then we move on. And and then someone else is 2 weeks down the road, they're going, when you said this, it really hurt my feelings. And the person that's directing the point is going, I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even remember that. And so, getting them to engage at a higher level is in communication, and is extremely important. So that's a little bit about what we do. We have a phenomenal team here. I'll tell you, I've never worked anywhere that had, where everyone was firing on all cylinders. It's pretty incredible. So,
yeah, that is cool when that happens.
Yeah.
In my, you mentioned microcosms. My little microcosm at Suzuki was a little broken when I got it, and they put me in charge of it. And they said, these are your people. And I said, well, what did the guy that sat in this desk do before I got here? And they're like, he basically sat in that desk. And I was like, okay. And he's a really nice guy. I'm still in touch with him. He's a really, really nice guy. But he was a little older, and he wasn't aware of some of the technological communication skills that you got to bring into a training team. So I did some, online project management stuff, and got everybody like checking in with delegating projects online, and being able to keep things flowing and keep things going. And now we do a daily meeting with communication, because honestly, that's one of my faults. Everyone wants this daily check-in to feel good, and I just want to get the work done. So I'm like, you guys want to meet every day? We'll meet every day. Fine, whatever. And so we're doing this. But right now I've come to realize, like, even someone that might have been a problem employee last year is like one of my number one players this year. Like, it's amazing how things can, move around. But you got to keep your finger on the pulse of it. You can't just disappear for months and come back and think it's going to be okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of leaders, when they want to fix something, or they want you to fix it, and then they just want it to be fixed. They don't want to have to do anything to maintain it.
You were telling me about Coach Well and how much you enjoyed Coach Well and what you guys were up to. And then you were talking about personality styles and communication, which I think was going to lead somewhere else.
Right. So, yeah, one of the things we assess, we use a lot of different assessments here. And we assess, things like personality and behaviors and motivators and all of that. And those things they're extremely helpful in helping people understand themselves, helping teams understand each other. But there's one particular assessment that I work with, or we work with very heavily, and it's called the Core Values Index, which you took, and it's so powerful because things like DISC and Myers-Briggs and things like that, they're phenomenal because they give you great insights into how someone behaves and how they're motivated and things like that, which is great. What it doesn't tell you is how they are hardwired. So the way I like to explain it is personality and behaviors are how we adapt to survive in the world. So those can change situationally. They can, getting 4 kids to school on time. My personality in that moment might come across a little different than, hanging out and having coffee with somebody. So they assess really how we adapt to survive in the world. The Core Values Index assesses how we are hardwired to make a contribution in the world. And it's unchanging. If you take it, now and you take it 30 years from now, it's going to look the same. And that gives us great insights into who should be hired into a role. Because, let's say it's an executive assistant position, which requires a lot of attention to detail. But you have someone that is not wired for attention to detail, but they love helping people. And so they've made a career as an executive assistant because they love helping people. Now, their boss got stranded in Omaha because, she didn't book a return flight because she overlooked that. But, she's so nice that you just forgive her and you move on. So this we can actually assess the job position so that we know exactly what is needed for that position. And then we can assess every single applicant that comes in. And now we can match them and say, hey, even if this person doesn't have the experience of this one over here, this one's going to perform better in the role that we're asking them to fill.
Gotcha.
So it really is phenomenal. So yours, for example, and I guess let me break down the 4 quadrants of the assessment. There's the builder, the merchant, the innovator, and the banker. And the core values energy of the builder is power. It's not in a bad way necessarily, but hey, let's move forward. We're just going to go. And well, you don't know all of the steps. Well, I don't need to know all the steps. I'll figure it out.
Going forward.
Right. And it's actually that power is supported by faith. I don't know what step 2 is. I have faith that my power will be sufficient when I get to step 2. Let's go. And that is having in you. And then the merchant, the core values energy of the merchant is love. And that love is supported by truth. You take a merchant and you lie to them, that's one of the worst things that you can do to a merchant. But the merchants are all about relationships and vision. So how do we foster people to make them the best version of themselves? And and then so you take that builder, they take an action, they get results. You take that merchant, vision and relationships, and then you go to the innovator. The innovator, the core values, the core values energy of the innovator is wisdom, supported by compassion. And so I'm an innovator first. I like to think things through. I'm not the first one to speak up in a meeting. I'm one of the last ones to speak up because I'm gathering all the information that everyone is saying. And when I say something in a meeting, my ultimate goal is really kind of a mic drop moment. Not that I want glory or anything. I just want to say the thing that everyone in the room goes, "You're a genius." Yeah. Oh, it's nothing.
You're a genius.
So, and then you have the banker, and the core values energy of the banker is knowledge. And they love to gather knowledge. They love to research. They love repetitive tasks. They love doing the same things over and over. They love organizing information into, spreadsheets and charts and things that that are not because it's fun, but because that's going to help you do what you do better. That's their contribution to the community. Yeah. And so so in all of that, you were all just an even innovator, merchant, builder with no banker energy. So that your attention to detail, your attention to detail would come from if it's helping you innovate something, if it's helping you with relationship and vision, or if it's helping you execute. But you are not someone that's going to go, oh man, I'm going to build the most amazing spreadsheet because we have a vacation coming up and I'm going to plan that thing to the T and it's going to be awesome. You are never going to do anything like that. You are very independent, and you see the big picture. You value people, you value relationships, and you want to help them get better. You want to help them execute a plan so that they can be the best version of themselves. I would venture to say that you are pretty creative, and and something that you have that a lot of creative people don't have is the ability to execute. A lot of people stay on the creative side and they want to perfect something. They want to, and I'm sure you have a bit of a perfectionist side, but you know when to pull the trigger, and that's something that a lot of people that are heavy on the creative side that don't have that builder energy, they don't actually execute. And so, knowing those things about different people really gives us insights into how they make their best contribution. So let's take my dad, for example. He was a phenomenal salesman. He was he is a banker builder with a little bit of merchant and no innovator. So that banker, repetitive tasks, and then the builder, that's where he closed deals. So 50 phone calls a day, 3 people calling back, he closes a deal. Tomorrow, 50 phone calls, 3 people calling back. Now, if I said, Kurt, I need you to make 50 phone calls a day, that just sounds horrible to you, I would assume, because that repetitive piece of just that checklist, doing the same thing over and over and over, you need more variety. Once you've solved a problem, it's no longer fun in that environment. You need a new problem to solve.
Yeah.
And you need a new challenge in front of you. And so two tendencies that people have that are innovators first is when they've solved all the problems, you go into a company, you clean everything up and everything's running smooth. Now they love you and you don't want to be there anymore because so what you're going to, one of two things happens. Either you leave or you start creating problems so you have something to work on, or you start digging for problems that aren't obvious so that you can work on something and solve a problem. So, myself, I'm an innovator first. My wife is a merchant first. She is a relational, I mean, just the most relational person in a way that when people meet her, everyone wants to be her best friend. And so, but I'm a problem solver first. I'm an innovator. So, my wife would send me a text, and it's a picture. She's at Macy's, and it's a picture of a dress. And I'm, as an innovator first, my response was, "Did you forget your debit card?" And she's like, "What? It's cute, right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, she needs me to be relational right now. She's not asking me to solve a problem."
Yeah.
So we all operate in different ways. We all communicate in different ways. The builder has its own communication style. The merchant, we all have our own communication styles. And when we can understand those about ourselves and about the people around us, then it becomes very easy to go, wow, man, Kurt was really blunt when he said that. That kind of stung. And you don't mean anything bad by it at all. You want to help them grow.
Yeah.
And for someone else, like, ooh, but if they understand, man, that's how Kurt's wired, then they can go, you know what, Kurt cares. And he wouldn't be saying it like that if he didn't care. And so that's good. That's going to help us grow.
Yeah.
So
I find at work that periodically, at my corporate job, there are times where I'll pull someone into a room and I'll go, I'm sensing something's off, like something went wrong. So you got to tell me what I did, because I don't know what I did to upset you, but I know it's not home. I know it's not this. I know something happened here. You got to tell me what that was. And I finally have a couple of people that are like, well, when we were in that meeting, you said blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not even about you. Like, why are you upset? That's not even about you. And then you got to fix it. You got to put that Band-Aid on it and make it right. And like, this is what I was thinking. This is why I said it. This was the direction we're going. And this is how we're going to get this done on time. And then they go, all right. And I'm like, are we good now? And they're like, yeah. And then back to work.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. There are many times where, someone will be telling me a story and I'm like, and how does this get a product done on time? Let's go. So it's a little rough around the edges sometimes, but at the end of the day, our department's making a lot of content, a lot more than it made before. So we're looking pretty good on that front.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. One of our biggest clients was on a call recently with them, and we were working on this very thing. And it was the head of the department was a total banker, which a banker, for them to communicate, they start at A and they end at Z and they hit everything in between. It's very detail oriented. And everyone on their team, almost everyone on their team were merchants first. Merchants are storytellers. They will start at D and move to R and back to L and probably never get to Z. And they just told a great story and you connected with it. It's fun. And so this team leader is going, they're driving me nuts. They just come in and tell random stories. I don't even know what they're talking about. And I'm just frustrated. And so being able to break that down with a team like that so they can understand, and so the team can understand, when I want to tell a story like this, I need a different audience, because my team leader, if I'm going to talk to her, I need to plan out, here are all the details, and here's how I communicate this. So for someone that's direct and to the point, it typically, when I email someone that is a builder, I do bullet points. I never more than 3, and usually number 2 and 3 could be, I'm going on vacation, or I had pizza for lunch, or whatever. It doesn't even matter. They may not even see those. The number 1 has to be the most important point. So I'll actually write an email to them and then mentally summarize that email into 3 bullet points, and then I erase it put those 3 bullet points and send it off.
Yep.
And that's how I communicate with a builder, because if I send them something and it's 4 paragraphs long, they're not going to read it. They're going to probably call me and go, "Hey, I didn't read your email. What'd you say?"
Yeah.
Okay. So
please tell me what that email meant, because I'm not going to read that.
Right. So yeah, it's such a powerful tool, to be able to help people, help companies, and and help them understand themselves and each other, and why they operate different ways. And so many times in business cultures, everyone's out to protect themselves, and and they just have very bad cultures. And when that happens, communication breaks down. Everyone, no one's holding their cards out for everyone to see. Everyone's playing them close, and just trying to preserve their own life there. And so it's it is something where when you can go in and you can just say, "Hey, this is just how we're wired," and some of us are handling it in a positive way, and some are handling it in a negative way.
Yeah.
Let's work through that. Let's just put everything out on the table. No hard feelings. If you messed up, fess up to it. If you're hurt by something, let's talk about it. But let's get it all out on the table so that we can, as a team, build trust together and begin to grow, so that we're not coming to work focused on how to survive. We're coming to work, focused on how to work best as a team to make a great contribution.
Yeah.
That really is what helps us help our teams perform. So
in the grand scheme of things at Coachwell, who would you say is like the demographic or the target audience for your skill set? Like for me, when I consult, it's generally in the power sports industry. It's usually motorcycle dealers, motorcycle owners, that whole power sports, maybe motorsports, cars, boats. I do a lot with marine, and I'd love to do some bicycle stuff too, because bicycles are getting huge. But you know what it's like. You take your bike into a bike shop and some weedhead comes out like, "Yo, bro, what do you want?" And you're going, "You are not the guy to work on my $6,000 mountain bike." So my focus is generally in those areas. And just like you said with work styles and personality types, I do a very similar thing. I go in and I do an analysis of the people, but mine's based on your quickness to handle a task. Either you jump in with both feet or you're more reserved. And then the other line is, are you a people person or a task person? And then I have the quadrant that says, so you're good at tasks and getting things done on time. You're good with the details and taking your time and staying away from people. You like people and you're good at getting tasks done. And this guy loves people, but he's maybe not so good with getting tasks done. And then you look at the staff and you go, well, holy crap, the friendliest dude with the best brain is receiving parts, like on the shipping and receiving dock. He belongs on the front counter selling stuff, meeting and greeting the customer and moving product.
Right.
You take the guy that's, a curmudgeon that somehow ended up working on the showroom floor. Next thing you know, he's on the shipping and receiving dock. And that pride thing you talked about, that card to the chest, when I go in, everyone assumes they're going to get fired. Like Kurt shows up and they all go, "Oh, great, we're going to get fired." And I'm like, what's with you people? No one's getting fired. I mean, if I find out you're stealing, you're getting fired. But if you didn't steal anything, we're going to find out where you fit best, and we're going to make sure that you get there. And I'm not going to cut your check in half. I mean, this is not a weird, scary thing. It's about success. You want people to be able to work from their strength. And, I picked the message from you that you're very definitely doing a much more finer tuned look at what a strength would be and making sure that you can have that person build on that, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. For me, it goes beyond just getting the right person in the right role so that the company works together better and they make more money, ultimately. And that's incredible. And that sells to a company.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But my passion behind that is you're able to steward people at such a high level. And one of the things that I see that we forget in corporate world is that they're actual people. They're not pawns in your game. They're real people. They have families, and they have lives, and they have emotions, and they have desires and passions and all of that. So when we can take someone and we can place them in a role that they are hardwired for, they will naturally perform at a high level. If they perform at a high level, and this is where I get like, oh yeah, this is good stuff. If they can perform at a high level at something that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise had the opportunity to do, then they have more opportunity for advancement. They have more opportunity to make more money. They have more opportunity to be happy and engaged at work. And when that happens, they're more likely to have a better life at home. And if they're having a better life at home, hey, that you put all those together, that may mean their kids are having their first really fun Christmas. Yeah. So I know that's a long road down there, but that to me, it digs into going beyond just how they perform at work, but really seeing them as a person and knowing that, hey, we have the right person, and they didn't have all of the qualifications that this person over here had. But quite honestly, if you go to work at company X, and then you go 5 years later to company Z, and they're very similar companies in what they do, you still have to learn how company Z does it differently than company X. And so you're going to train those people anyway. You're going to train them to break habits and all of that. But so I would rather take someone with a little less skill and help them perform at a higher level. So
absolutely.
And it will make a difference across the board for them.
Nice. Now, company-wise, are you guys going after more of an administration type companies, production companies, manufacturing? What's kind of the sweet spot?
Yeah. So we have coaches all over the country, and so we have every clients that, like I mentioned earlier, maybe from a local growing coffee shop to manufacturing companies. We have a lot of manufacturing clients, a lot in the medical field, a lot actually in dentistry. That's it's a field that's really growing, and it's changing how it's done. And there's just some specific things about dentistry that make it a pretty great market. And so those are some of the main ones. We do have a cycling company, manufacturer that is a client, and they're here in Bend, and I'll say their bikes are far more expensive than I can ever afford to pay for a bike.
That's when you throw in that corporate trade idea.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we do have, I would say those are some of the main ones that we go after, but ones that really want to grow, and that's more important than anything to us. Is if you want to grow, then we can work with you. But if you're just bringing someone into, because you have a budget for it, you want to bring someone in, and it's just some more of the same, we're not interested.
Right.
So
I want to delve into something, probably the last topic, because I know we've been on the phone for a long time. And if you're not comfortable with the question, just tell me you're not comfortable. But You had mentioned pastoring, and I was kind of interested. I'm a former youth pastor, and I still volunteer at churches, and I do my thing. Do you feel that that is a benefit, a hindrance? Like, how do you view your faith at work type attitude when you are at work?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, whether my clients know or like it or not, I pray for all my clients,
Yeah.
and ultimately, because one of the things that we believe in here, we're not just coaching a CEO. We're not just coaching a manager. We're coaching a whole person, and that whole person, that includes their work life, their home life, their fitness and health. That includes their any faith that they may or may not have. And so inevitably, questions of faith almost always become part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't push people one way or the other. I really don't. But I will say it. Let me say this. I have had some of the deepest conversations around faith as a coach, more so than when I was pastoring. And so that has been very interesting. I know that before I was pastoring, was when I was interning, it was like, you're just a person and you could talk to anyone. And the minute you tag that word pastor to your name, no one wants to talk to you. And so, which, I like to sleep when I'm on an airplane, so it comes in handy. I just tell them I'm a pastor. No one wants to talk to me, and but and that was some of the areas where I felt that as a pastor, I personally was not having the impact that I wanted to have, and so that was part of what drove me to look for other things that would allow me to have a bigger impact on a bigger scale. And so I think it has definitely helped me in having that background. So knowing, well, let me say this too. When I got into coaching, that's when I realized I've been coaching for years. I just didn't know the specific skill set around it. And so it was, so that was something new. I was taking something that I had been working on and doing for years, and then actually put a good skill set to it. So, yeah.
That's what I say about the John Maxwell curriculum, and what we've done through John Maxwell is, before John Maxwell, I was still a leader. And I say that as humble as I can. Whenever I would do something, people showed up. Like, it was just the way it is. If I'm going to go on a motorcycle ride, I got 6 people going on a motorcycle ride. If I'm going to go, there's always someone who wants to jump in and come along, right? So it's like I was leading. But after the John Maxwell curriculum was done and I'd processed it and gotten the certificate and figured out, like, how am I really doing this? How am I going to affect change and add value to people? Well, then you apply strategy to the leadership. And it was, having that strategy in combination with the existing leadership qualities,
right?
Kind of like all of a sudden it's like, okay, this has direction. So the Manana No Mas learning management system that I promote, where with the personal development and all this stuff, I mean, it's all strategy. It's all leading towards something bigger. And that's really exciting when you can identify something and then go, like you said, hit on all cylinders and realize, like, this is the right thing. I might not be a millionaire doing it yet, but hey, it's the right thing, and the money doesn't really matter. If it's right, it's going to work out in the end anyway. So it's been a cool ride and a cool journey so far, and I'm hoping it only gets better.
Yeah, that's great. It really it really is a blast working with people and helping them grow. And, you know, like I said, in the CDI, I'm an innovator merchant. Vision, relationships, problem solving, innovation. So I help people solve people problems.
Nice.
It's perfect for me. I love it. And, you know, and the more skill set that you can apply to that, the more you can grow in that, the more that people want to hire you, and the more that they want to pay you to help them. And so,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a blast. I love it. Nice.
Well, Rod, I do want to take a moment. I want to thank you. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I'm really glad you took the time to be on this thing with me. I really enjoyed getting to know you better. I think it's awesome. And now I have an excuse to go to Bend and go mountain biking. You just got to let me know when you're healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that would be a blast. We have over 300 miles of single track trails within 20 minutes of my house. And, yeah, lots of great trails and fun rides for every skill level. So I'm probably not riding at the skill level you're at, especially right now.
That's a horrible assumption.
Yeah, the occasional, little rock garden, and I'm good.
Yeah. SoCal's full of rock gardens. I got a lot of rock gardens.
Yeah, I don't need any 6-foot drops or anything like that. Yeah, I just like to go have fun and get the exercise and get a ride in. When we rode in Garden Valley, Idaho, the part that I thought was amazing was I ride with Schwalbe Magic Mary tires, and they're not the best for the sandy stuff here, but up there they were perfect. And it was just flowy, maintained trails. And on the way down, it was like 30 miles an hour, and I was lofting some good jumps. And I'm like, this is just awesome. Yeah. And then we came back, and I'm back in the dirt and the sand and the rocks. But, it is fun. I do really, really enjoy it. So, yeah. Well, it'd be fun to have you up sometime when I'm healed up, and we can put some good rides in. So. All right. Well, say goodbye to the Manana No Mas people. All right. Hey, thank you very much for having me on. Yeah, I really appreciate it, and appreciate getting to know you a bit. And for the people watching, if you want to get in touch with Rod, we'll have his contact information in the comments on the YouTube channel and on the Manana No Mas website. Peace out. All right. Bye-bye. Bye.